Welcome. I hope you're doing great today. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's the last Sunday of April. We're coming into May very quickly here. And so just want to welcome you and thank you for joining me today. It's a rainy, wild day outside, as you can see. I hope you're doing beautifully. I'm just gonna sit here for just a moment, say hello and chat a little bit before we get everybody on, and then we'll get into some of the topics that I wanted to share with you today. It's a very weird time right now on the planet, as you can imagine. We're all in this state of oneness, of course, and we're learning how to connect and use our natural psychic ability, which everyone has. And we're using our hearts to feel one another. And we need to trust our gut, our body, our smart body technology. It's funny because every once in a while I'll speak with somebody during a session and they'll say, "Oh, I'm really bad with technology." And I'm like, "Are you? Look down at your body. Your body is technology." And that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit today. I want to give you some hope. I want to give you some light, some bright concepts to get us through this very difficult time right now. And this time has been planned for many hundreds of years. It's been planned for us, not by us. And that's a problem. However, with all of the plan unfolding before our eyes, it's creating that blinding clarity that so many seers talk about. Lee Harris has talked about it, my teacher Lucia, very awesome psychic seer Tantra Mott, many psychic seers out there who have seen this time of blinding clarity. And I want to show you something deep inside of ourselves. Each of us has this information. It's deep in our DNA about what we're here to do. You see, although all this oppression that's been going on for many hundreds of thousands of years has deeply affected us, it's traumatized us, it's distorted what we've created, it's distorted the systems, right? All of the different systems and the different ways that we walk and live on this planet have been distorted. When you look above from pictures that are up off the earth, right? You can see cities, you can see what humans have created. We call this time right now the Anthropocene because anthro meaning human. It's the time of the human. From space, you can see our presence. But you see, all of that's going to change. It doesn't mean we're going to throw everything out, though. And I really want to address that because we have some new tech coming in the world that is dangerous. And I want us to be very clear on what gets to stay and what does not. We need a framework of discernment. We need a framework for discernment of technology and also the consumption of information. So I want to give you that framework today, but I also want to speak to a greater galactic plan, far beyond any plan that could be implemented by any elite. It's much, much more stable than we realize. Because although those plans have been put in place for many hundreds of years, many thousands of years, and they have been put in place in order to subjugate humankind, they did not anticipate some of the things that are occurring right now. One of the things that are occurring right now is the remembrance. The remembrance. If you are diligently doing emotional processing work, if you're diligently moving all the trash bags out of the way of your experience in your DNA, in your emotional life, in your mental life, then you're going to remember more about who you are as a soul. And people are remembering now about who they are and why they're here, why they came here during this very difficult transition time from a matrix-based society that's based in oppression and subjugation and distortion to a society that is based in the three most important learned human concepts that we will share with the rest of the galaxy: consent, unconditional love, and universal compassion. The remembrance of our true nature was not expected. Furthermore, the gates have opened. There are more beings on this planet than ever before. There are beings from other dimensions. There's beings that are 3D of all types. They're here to give us that support. They've been giving us the technology for a long time to be able to heal. And we will discuss how that tech is going to help us. But it's here, it's been here, it's available. We must demand the disclosure of the technology that is available for our healing and for the healing of our societies. You see, all economy is based in demand. And that's where that important part of consent comes in. You see, part of the rules of the game of the elite is that consumption equals consent. So we need a good framework of discernment for that consumption. Because if you watch certain shows, if you take part in certain activities, you're consenting to oppression, even if it's literally meant to be entertainment. And that's the shocking, disappointing part about what has been presented to us, not only in the entertainment industry, the music industry, pretty much every industry, the food industry. What are any industries out there at the moment that are not distorted and corrupted? There really isn't any at the moment, and that's part of our job. The other thing they weren't expecting was the awakening, the blinding clarity that we all have about what's really going on the planet. And we're not going to put up with this. It's freedom and sovereignty that we are earning. And it's okay for us to be angry. Angry is generative. Anger can be deeply powerful. Anger can be a great motivator. It can give us a lot of oomph to do some of the things we need to do at every level of our systems. Some of you have incredible talents with some of these systems. And I want to speak to that because each of us comes from many different lifetimes beyond this planet. All that memory is back. It's coming back. It's here for you. And the clearing of the trauma is happening much faster. So if you've noticed, all of our triggers are magnified beyond belief, right? And it's like, normally, you know, a trigger would show you one big trash bag of trauma, but now it's hundreds of trash bags worth of trauma. It feels very overwhelming. Take advantage of this time. It's a massive purging that's going on in the collective, as well as our bodies, and in the memory of water. Water retains memory. When DNA was created, water was one of the most important attributes of DNA because it retains memory, and DNA was created for two reasons. First, to retain memory, and the second, to have access to all dimensions at once. And this DNA is very special, it's precious. That attribute has not changed. But we need access to all that. And the best way to access it is to heal your trauma, to go deep into your emotions every single day, every moment, to allow them. Don't deny your emotions. Don't deny your frustration, your anger, your despair that might be showing up. Because if you're willing to allow it, find it in your body, allow the feelings to show themselves in your emotional body, which is intimately tied to your physical form. That emotional body is unique. Not every species in this galaxy or other galaxies have emotional bodies. And we can use this to our great advantage because that trauma is showing up for a reason. And it's not just yours. It's 500,000 years of humans and all of their memories and their traumas and their oppression too. That's why we're here. One of my friends sent me a meme and it said, I'm on the transition team. That's exactly what we are. Every single one of us are. Even if you're stuck at home or sick, even if you're in bed, even if you're disabled, my friends. In fact, I would argue that many of our soul family who are in disabled bodies have a great advantage of light because they're humbled, because they're in a position to be working with the paradise of the mind, which is one of our greatest capabilities to imagine what is going to happen. And I want to give you a view, especially around technology right now, because we're seeing a push for all different sorts of tech at the moment, everything from digital currency to microchips to you name it. And certain things that I'm not going to say on this because of censorship. So anything that you're seeing come up right now as new tech, we need to look very carefully at and discern, is this actually what we need? How do we know what we need? This framework of discernment is key. We need to use our bodies to be able to discern what we're consuming and what kind of technology we're using, and if it is doing three things. The first one is it bringing our mind into a state of oneness with all consciousness? Is the show I'm watching helping me attain a state of oneness? Or is it bringing up fear? Or is it full of brainwashing information, even though I'm aware of it? By consuming it, we agree to it. The second is it bringing my heart, my feelings, my emotions into a state of oneness with the collective, with the universal, with all consciousness? We can feel the way technology has affected our bodies. We can feel the way corrupted food has affected our bodies. We can feel the emotions that all of the humans are experiencing and all of the animals and plants. We can feel the earth. And if the tech or the consumption of food or material or entertainment is not bringing us closer to a state of connection to the earth, then it's not going to be useful in the long run. And we don't want to consume and give our consent to corruption. And then the last question is it helping my body to be in a state of oneness and attain the longevity that the human form is capable of? Our very, very original ancestors lived 10 times longer than we do now. What caused us to live shorter lives? It's that corruption, it's the distortion, and it's the trauma especially. Trauma causes genetic mutations. Trauma causes longevity to shorten. And over generations now, we have seen the reduction of our longevity tenfold. We can gain that back. All of us can. Furthermore, we can use this same framework. Is it helping my mind, my heart, my body attain a state of oneness when I'm using certain technology? You see, we can't go back to hunter-gatherers, and we certainly can't keep going the way we're going right now. Those big cities that you can see above in space, those don't look natural. They look itchy to me. They look like a rash. But that's not humanity's fault. It's not our fault. I'm not a human hater. I abhor the human hate that is flying around this very, very dark programming to hate humanity or to hate being human. Very dark, not useful, not what the original experiment in consciousness was about at all. What was it about? It was about absolute, pure, absolutely pure, unconditional love, of which we haven't seen on this earth perhaps at all, because our subjugation started very early. Now, all of this has been necessary because what we've come out of all that oppression with, and we're coming out of it, that awakening was not expected right now, and it happened. It happened sooner than anyone believed it would. That is very important. The remembrance has occurred sooner than was perhaps planned by the light, because the reset must happen now. It must happen now. All the resets, all the systems, they have to break down, but we're not going to completely start at nothing. We can't do that. That's not possible, right? We got to think realistically here, because we're not leaving the 3D behind. We're including the 3D in all the dimensions of what we're accessing and where we're meant to work. So we need to think about, is the technology that we're using helping our minds, our hearts, and our bodies to attain oneness? Oneness is the goal. Because if we can function as one mind, one heart, one body, as a species, we will be able to position ourselves at the sovereign seat of the galactic table of our friends and our star families, our allies, and even our so-called enemies, and we'll teach them something very special. This threefold piece of human consciousness that needs so desperately to be brought to the galactic table. The first is consent. We're learning about right now how consent has been very distorted. We're learning about this distortion of consent. But what does consent look like when there's no more corruption or distortion? Where candor is the foundation and transparency is the outcome. What does that consent look like? It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It gives us a chance to actually enjoy the beauty of consent. And many of our star families don't have this cultural concept. They don't have that, which is why we have things like abductions. So we have some things to teach our star friends. We have some things to teach. We're not babies anymore. We're coming into human adulting, right? And so as we come into that oneness, we will be able to teach consent. How beautiful, galactic consent. Consent that is not based in consumption or control, but consent that is done from freedom and sovereignty The second thing that humanity can bring to the table is true unconditional love. True unconditional love says that there is only one requirement for us to have love, and that is just to exist. There is nothing that can be done or said in this entire universe that could render anyone not deserving of love. And that is also not a galactically universal concept. You see, humans have learned, we have been taught through subjugation about who deserves what. And if we can build all of our interactions, all of our systems and our beliefs from the basis of love first, then we will be able to cultivate universal compassion. Universal compassion allows existence without boundaries. It says, you exist, welcome, you have a place in this universe. That goes for even the dark stuff. It goes for demons and elite and anything you can think of. Any dimension, any aspect of this universe, it exists. And everything is made of light. Even the darkness is made of light. When you go deep down into it and you really drill into it mystically, all things are made of light. Darkness looks dark because it's dense. It's consciousness under pressure. And when things are under pressure, light can't get through, right? But what happens when you welcome something as it is without judgment? That is universal compassion. It reveals the truth that all things are made of light. Again, not a universal concept. And here we are learning this, finally putting into practice, and first for ourselves. We must do this for ourselves first. The incredible self-hatred that we've been taught, the incredible programming to cultivate fear for consumption, all those energies of despair and fear, they end up being consumed by the systems because those systems at their heart are run by darkness that likes to keep growing. It likes to keep growing, just like anything, right? What I have found is that when you are willing to embody these three attributes, consent, unconditional love, and universal compassion, darkness has no power. It has no power because we look it in the face and we say, you are loved, you are welcome, you exist. And I don't consent to what you're doing. I don't consent. I will not consume these poisons. I will not consume these foods. I will not consume this entertainment. I will continue to demand better and healthier technology because I need it. I want to be healthy. I want to remember who I am. I want to help bring through what is the new earth, where men and women joyfully, with great grace, adore one another and our differences and our similarities and support each other, where all human beings are included because they simply exist. They get to have a voice because they are a soul. And the body is the technology that we must protect. The body is the greatest technology in this galaxy. It is. It's the most wonderful technology because it gives us access to God. It gives us access to Source. It gives us advancement through our suffering and through our joy as a soul. And by our personal advancement, we advance the collective, we advance consciousness on this planet, we advance our galaxy, and we advance the whole universe. And probably beyond. Have no doubt that this experiment on this planet, this experiment in consciousness, is one of the most glorious ever created in this galaxy. The memories of all the other experiments will come clear to you over time as you clear your trauma. I cannot say that enough adamantly, that is the number one path you must take in order to get your memories back. You've got to heal your trauma and the trauma of your ancestors written in your DNA. Big cleanup crew time, but we're getting a good boost from the earth. Everybody's probably noticed the Schumann resonance is off the charts, right? That's a signal, it's a sign, it's an example of what's happening. It's basically energy that's rising up from the planet, and it's going to overtake the whole human body. Right now, it probably feels really rough because it's forcing up incredible amounts of trauma and triggering. And furthermore, the position we're in with the pandemic is really tough. It's bringing up all kinds of trauma from plagues and famine, etc. So I've been trying to speak over the past couple of months to this fact that the pure love that the earth is embodying, that Mother Divine is embodying and is here giving us, is forcing incredible amounts of trauma out. Use this time. You see, the ancient ones saw this time. They called it fire and brimstone for a reason, because this is tough. It burns if you resist it. It hurts. Holy fire. It's coming in. It's happening now. And it hurts, but only if you resist it. Don't resist the triggers. Don't resist the emotions coming up. Don't resist the stuff flying at you. Our families, we're all getting touchy and triggered. Don't resist it. Allow it. Let your kids get upset sometimes. Just be there for them. Allow them to let it just flow out of their embodiment. And if they're willing, teach them heart commands. Dear heart, please lift this difficult emotion and all of its baggage from myself and my lineage. Anything that's ready to go right now, out of my whole body and field now. And take a big deep breath and replace it. Dear heart, fill my whole body and field with the unconditional love and the compassion from Mother Earth, from Mother Divine and the universe and source. Now, take a big deep breath. Don't give up on this. Every single day, you're going to get to move more junk out of your DNA than ever before. Take advantage of this. Don't resist it. It will give you back your memory. It will give you back your consciousness. And the 5 fields of limitation, which are very specific programs implemented into the human consciousness experiment early on, those 5 programs have distorted us and caused the distortion of our systems. So I'm going to name them because they're going to show up big time right now for us to let go, for us to step out of it. And if you're willing to step out of these 5 fields, you're going to step out of this matrixy system forever, right? The first one, which is all on our mind, everyone who's got any business is falling apart right now or having to change big time, very tough transition right now. A lot of people are really struggling because suddenly there's no money. And a little bit of money from the government's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. You see, inflation is real. And the wages have not matched that in eons. So here we are. We're faced with one of the greatest fears, scarcity, especially of money, but that is false value. That's the first field of limitation is money, that everything has to be measured in money. That's the field of limitation around false value. It is not true that everything is worth money as a foundational concept. That is not how humans function. The true field of reality is that all things have infinite value. You have infinite value. Your time has infinite value. Money is a secondary or even tertiary way of valuing anything. Let's welcome that in our field. Dear heart, I welcome that myself, my time, all beings, and all people, places, and things have infinite value. I welcome that in my whole body now. And take a big, deep breath. I'm teaching you to imagine, to feel, to speak, and to create this now in yourself and radiate it. Your field is connected to all of the rest of the humans. When I say one mind, one heart, one body, I mean it. I really mean it. The second field of false value is the use of energy, the false use of energy, to use energy mindlessly, to meet the ends that we need, to scarf down our food quickly and get back to work. A perfect slave is worried about money. A perfect slave is not thinking about the use of energy. They're not aware of their breath. They're not aware of their body, the miraculous body machine, this incredible technology that is absolutely mind-blowing, and how precious it is. They're not considering where their food came from, what ground it grew on, what people, places, and things were involved in getting it onto that plate. They're not taught this mindful way of connecting to the web of life. Bring yourself back into this mindfulness. Let's step into the field of truth, the mindful use of energy. Dear heart, I welcome the field of limitless value and mindful use of all energy, of my breath, of my cells, of my entire form, and all the people, places, and things that I am intimately connected to in order to live this life in gratitude. I welcome that in my whole body now. Good. The third field of false value is the false concepts that we have signed up to forget. That we have signed up to forget who we are. That is not true. There are no contracts for humans to forget. There is only one thing that keeps us from remembering: trauma. Trauma blocks us from the access of all dimensions, the first and second dimension included, even the third dimension. If you feel flustered and frustrated with the third dimension, that is absolutely fair. If you feel blocked and frustrated about existing as a human at the moment, that makes sense. It's blocked by trauma. Even the 3D is blocked. We feel like we can't manifest anything, especially when we have this top-down, authoritarian, pandemic and other things like that constantly occurring. It feels like you can't get anywhere. We feel trapped. It's horrible. And of course we feel that way. It makes sense. It's valid. Your feelings are valid. Welcome them. Do not dismiss them. Welcome other people feeling that too. It's valid. It's important to welcome these feelings. But we came here to clean up the trauma so that we can remember again, so our families can remember. Even if your partners and kids don't believe in this stuff or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you work on you, you're going to see major differences. Over and over and over again, I've seen measurable results in many, many people's households of their friends and family feeling fully transformed because the light, the pure light of the soul gets to come through someone who has worked diligently on their trauma. And that light is going to feed all of your family members. Light will percolate. It will get to them. It gets to their soul. Trust it. They don't have to believe exactly what you believe. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. You don't. You just receive light. The light is there. It's full of plenty of information. It doesn't have to be run through Elizabeth's ego and then you have to buy anything I tell you. You don't need to worry about that. The cool part about consent is that we can all consent to agree to disagree. It's totally fine. We can still make really good decisions for our households and our communities, even if we disagree about certain things. We can always find a way. That's the very beautiful part. So if you're willing to do that work on your trauma, you will remember more and you'll see what I mean. That we did not sign up to forget. That's not what we've signed up for. We signed up to clean up so that everyone from here on out can remember. And so we can remember who we are, where we came from, how we have gone through lots of dark stuff lots of times before. We have seen genocides on other planets. We have seen all kinds of different happenings occur, many different wars of different calibers, even galactic level wars, all within our memory as souls. And even if you only believe that you only get one lifetime, you're still here to remember you're a soul. You're still here to remember you are a soul. You don't have to believe in many lifetimes in order to get what I'm saying. You are a soul first. You live in this body technology right now. You are animating it with your consciousness. Good. The fourth field of limitation is all about the fear of death. You see, there is no other animals on this planet or consciousness on this planet quite so afraid of death as humans are. In fact, that's really important because if you look at the very tippy top of the power structures right here on this planet, what is their number one fear? What drives them? What drives these systems and their corruption? It's the fear of death. The fear of death drives the corrupt systems. Humanity has learned from the tippy top of the power structures down to fear death. It makes us good slaves, and it makes those powers that be feel more in control of their own immortality that they crave. They want to hang on to their identity so much that they fear death entirely. And the selling out of the planet has been done in order to attempt immortality. So this teaching us the fear of death. We learned it. We learned it. And it's false. It's absolutely false, because what it does is it takes the law of destruction, which really should be the law of recycling, right? It takes the law of destruction and it separates it from all the other laws. It separates it from all of the other laws. And so that's really key. That's really key. Because if we can bring destruction back and include it, destruction, creation, preservation, integration, the laws of the universe, if we can celebrate it as one of the great functions of the universe, then we can see very clearly that this universe is based in love. That the universe loves us. Not one cell, not one molecule, not one experience, not one level of consciousness or thought is ever wasted. Ever. You are part of Source. Source needs you to learn about love. Source needs you to have your experiences from your vantage point, your special vantage point in the web of life, from Indra's net. Any hole in that net is going to render it dysfunctional. Your presence here is very important. It's deeply needed. Your feelings are needed. Your anger, your despair, your joy, your willingness, it's unique in all the universe. And it's part of the great grand consciousness that is this whole universe. It's deeply important. Without you, the book of life is not complete. Your story is part of that great grand wisdom of this universe. Without you, the story has a big blank spot. And that's not going to be useful. Your presence, even if you're stuck or sick or whatever, or your body is disabled, it doesn't matter. Your story, your presence, your vantage point is key, because it's part of the oneness that's available in all things. So I mentioned 4 fields of limitation, and I'm blanking out on the 5th one at the moment. So if it comes out, I'll mention it. And for some reason, it's not coming up at the moment. So that's okay. We'll move forward. So I just love, oh, my friend mentioned is time. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Susan. So time, there you go. That's why, because I have had very little capability of having a sense of normal time lately, which happens when you clear trauma. Suddenly everything is all one. The past, present, and future is all one, and it can be really trippy. So I'm finding myself forgetting things, and then I just kind of welcome it. And so if you're finding trouble with time at the moment, many of us are, you're not alone. It's been tricky to navigate. Okay, so the field of limitation around time is one of those fields. And we're taught to worry about the future a lot, especially when you're not making any money, right? And maybe you just got laid off or your business has crumbled because of this happening to us all over the planet. The rug being pulled out from underneath us to be entrepreneurs and survive on our own, right? So we worry. We're taught to worry about the future. A good slave leaks a whole bunch of energy into the future and into the past, right? So catch yourself. Catch yourself thinking about the past, bringing it into the moment. Catch yourself worrying about the future, leaking all that energy. Bring yourself back into the moment. And I have found a way to do this that's a kind of a weird, fast way that I'll mention in a moment. But the truth is that there is no linear time. Linear time is a privilege. Everybody beats up on linear time, but it's actually a privilege to have linear time. Linear time can be very useful. You can get a lot done, but you've got to act in the moment, right? You've got to visualize, feel, and then act. You must manifest using the body. You can't just focus in on something and feel it. You have to act on it. You have to say it. The word is God, right? And that's very key. Many, many mystics have taught that our voice, and that's why I'm having you do these heart commands out loud right now, right? So let's do one around remembrance. Let's do one around the fear of death, and let's do one around time right now together. So we're going to backtrack a little bit here. Let's go into the remembrance, true remembrance. So say this with me. Dear heart, I welcome the true remembrance of my universal self, my soul that is immortal, and all the light that is all the universe and myself, to be fully understood and recognized and remembered. And I release myself from any concepts that this memory is not part of my process living on this planet. I want to embody my remembrance fully now, and take a big deep breath. Good. And now let's shift out of the time piece, right? So we'll say, dear heart, I welcome all of time, the past, present, and future, to be witnessed in this moment. Help me to embody all of what source is in this moment now. I choose to act from this moment. Give my consciousness the presence of the now. Now, and take a deep breath. Good, and now let's shift out of this fear of death. Dear heart, I fully embody trust and surrender and the celebration of all the laws of the universe, of creation, of destruction, preservation, and integration. Now, and take a deep breath. One more point about the fear of death process. The human body is constantly using all of these laws to function. Many hundreds of millions of cells die each day in our bodies, and they are celebrated. They are celebrated for what they have given the body. The body is celebrating. It's celebrating creation of new cells, the death of old. It's celebrating the preservation of our form. And it's celebrating the integration of knowledge and wisdom from all these different things around us. Our bodies are full of viruses and bacteria and cancer cells and yeast and all kinds of parasites all the time. They're full of it, and we're being informed by it. Our immune systems are being informed by those beings, and they are beings. They're intelligent. All of them are. They always have something to teach us, and they only come in and take over when there's a lesson that is really important for the body and for the soul who inhabits it to attain. And so the body does live functioning with all these laws. That gives us a very good clue about the technology and what we require from here on out. All of the normal tech we're used to, these computers in our hands, all of the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, and the TVs, all of these things, they really deeply affect the body. The frequencies of these things have been proven to be an issue, right? And so we need to consider that in the future. We need to require very healthy fields of electromagnetic energy as part of our tech. I believe that we will still have the internet. We're still going to have computers. We're still going to have cell phones. But I do not believe that it would be right, righteous, or healthy for our experiment here on this earth to integrate technology into our bodies, either via chips or anything else. The human form is absolutely perfect the way it is. You see, many billions of years of effort has been put into the creation of these bodies. The human form is incredible. It's incredible technology. If you walk away with anything today, I want you to consider that. That this technology is perfect the way it is. It's been well established for many, 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 many experiments on many planets that these bodies are wonderful and efficient and absolutely the best thing to advance our souls. We don't need any special tech integrated into these bodies. And furthermore, really any additional stuff in the body besides pure, wholesome, whole food is not necessary. It's not necessary. I also want to consider all the time that there is lots of incredible technology out there that does create healthy fields. In fact, Nikola Tesla, he taught us about all that, right? Excuse me, sorry. Throat clearing. I think this happened last time too. So, the human heart, for example, is an electromagnetic technology. If you look at some of the older interviews with Nikola Tesla, some of the last ones that he did, he specifically talked about the human form being an electromagnetic form. And so that invisible rainbow, and there's a book written called that I think all of us should read, The Invisible Rainbow. It's about frequencies, radio frequencies, X-rays, electromagnetic frequencies, even Wi-Fi, right? And Nikola Tesla talks about in his interviews the human being an electromagnetic being. His technology, which created free energy from the electromagnetic sphere that is naturally available, he called it ether. That sphere is all over the place. It fills the whole universe. The whole universe is full of it. There is no void in the universe. And he was able to tap into those frequencies and then bring them into technology and utilize it because he studied the human form. He studied the body tech that I'm talking about. He studied it in great detail. And he was able to create very similar systems that were based off of the heart and the field the heart creates. Those are nurturing kinds of tech. That free energy is available. We have it at our fingertips, but we require disclosure of it. We require the top down to release it. We must demand it to be so. Disclosure of technology is the number one most important thing right now in my mind. Because if we're going to be able to rebuild this planet, we need that tech. We don't need the new stuff they're rolling out. We need the tech that has been hidden from us, much of which was given to us by ETs, either through psychic channeling, like William S. Tompkins talks about. Go look at his work. He's an incredible whistleblower and a total genius. But all of these engineers, they've been given this information. How do we know that they've been given this information exactly? Even in the 1940s, they knew this, that multiple scientists all over the world would be given the exact same technology at the exact same time. How does that happen? How would they come up with that at the exact same time? Because we are psychic beings. We're constantly being influenced by many dimensions, whether we have access to them or not. And by access, I mean being able to see, feel, and know what's going on in all those dimensions all at once. Many of you can feel this stuff. Some of you can see it too. And as you clear your trauma, you're going to see it, you're going to feel it, and you're going to know it a lot more. That's the cool part. You'll be able to see all these different beings. It's your right to be able to do that with your cool body, right? And since the throat just came up, let's address this, shall we? A lot of us have trauma here from not being heard, right? Being told to hush when we were young, being shut down by our societies. We're told, you know, have a voice, vote. And voting seems so difficult, especially when you're given no good choices, right? And you're told that, oh, you have a voice, protest. And then we protest, and it's very difficult to see changes. I would like you to, if you feel the need to protest, if you feel the desire to use the power of your voice to be fully heard, use it first on yourself and your healing. Let's do a throat clearing right now. Dear heart, lift all the trauma, all the distortion, and any energy that is ready to go from my throat and my whole body and field now. And take a deep breath. And now let's reconnect the throat, which is the bridge between the heart and the mind, right? We don't want to just speak from the head. We want to speak from the heart. It's hard to do if your throat feels blocked and you're not heard, right? So we're going to replace it with that openness. Dear heart, fill my throat, pure light of source, clarity, unconditional love, and the energy from my heart, as well as my mind. Take a deep breath. Good, good. So let this constantly, when you're thinking about what you want to say, remember the power of words. You're creating reality with your words, with your frequencies. When you say, I hate that guy. When you say mean things, when you're angry or triggered, what does that do? It creates reality. There's this really ancient anthropological story that I would like to relay that shows the power of the voice. And so anthropologists were told when they went deep into the jungles of Amazon and met some of these untouched tribes, they were told that they didn't need to use technology to chop trees down. And the anthropologists were like, what? How do you houses and stuff if you don't chop the trees down? And they said, we don't need to. We choose a powerful shaman, and he goes and he finds the tree that we have chosen, and he talks to the tree. He tells the tree that it's time to die, and he speaks to it for days and tells the tree that it's time for the spirit to leave so that we can use the body of the tree. And if the trees and consents, the tree will fall over. And then we use the tree's body. Wow. We also know that if you talk to plants and a plant, it will die. We actually have lots of different experiments that have shown that. And when you talk to the plants and you're nice to them, they thrive. So you're creating incredible amounts of reality with your voice. This is basic mysticism, isn't it? So I just want you to be conscious of that. Are you speaking from the heart? Do you mean what you're saying? Take the time. It only takes to let your thoughts drop into your heart and be enriched by the heart space. Another good thing to practice right now when we're all in close quarters is compassionate communication, where we mirror back to the person what they're saying. At first, it's really awkward, but then you get used to it. So it'll sound like, okay, I hear you. You're saying this and this and this. And then that's it. And or but. I love you, but. That just ruins it all, right? So don't, I love you, but. Just say what you mean. Mirror back to them. This is what I hear you saying. And that's it. When they are finished and they feel heard, I like to say, may I share some of my thoughts and feelings? Then I'm giving the person a chance in freedom to consent to hearing me and the powerful words that will come out of my mouth. Even if I'm having a problem, and we can't blame people for our issues. Our feelings are our own. Our triggers are our own. Triggers and feelings like that are showing us where trauma is, right? So even if someone else is blaming you, allow them to have their feelings. Mirror them back. I hear you. You feel very upset that I did this. You feel very upset that I said this. And that's it. You don't need to add in your thoughts. You don't need to be waiting for them to finish. Then with consent and freedom and sovereignty, we say, may I share with you my feelings? May I give you some suggestions? What if they say no? That's okay. You can say, that's okay. I would really like to share my feelings. Will you let me know? Sometimes somebody maybe needs to cool off a bit before they can really hear you. This is something really important for us to practice, and it's so simple to play with, a little awkward at first, because we're used to responding and having our opinion, but then people really don't feel heard. They don't feel heard. So bringing it back can really make that occur. And then you're going to really hear them, because you're not going to be focused on your response. You're going to be focused on hearing them, right? And let's say somebody says something cruel or mean or difficult, right? And it hits you. Oh, that hurt. Welcome it. I welcome this pain in my body. I welcome the feelings that I have right now. Right? And you can say, I don't consent to absorbing this vitriol. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to them. Don't take it personally. even from your partners and your family and friends. Don't take this stuff personally. The personal is the grand illusion. And we will be able to still have our personal freedom, our sovereignty, and of course, our oneness all at once. Have that all respected if we keep diligently working in this way. Last thing I want to address is water. Water is key. Water right now, it has memory. All of our bodies have the water of the earth creating these bodies, functioning in these bodies. This water hasn't left this planet in many, many eons and many billion years. This water has the memory of the entire planet. Every single drop of water has memory. The water that comes out of your body has memory from you. The water that you drink has memory from the collective and memory from the planet. The water is purging traumatic memory right now. And so if you're noticing feelings coming up and purging happening, oh boy, I have. Just the other day, I broke out head to toe, no joke, in hives. Serious purging going on. Welcome this stuff. You might notice the body really purging a lot through the skin, all kinds of things. It's not just you. It's not just you're going through stuff. It's all the people. And this water is forcing out trauma, but it's beyond just your ancestors too. There's other trauma there. There's trauma from the planet. She's had incredible wars happen on her body. She's had a lot of subjugation of her own body. That's been sick. It's being shifted too, just like all the rest of the trauma. So allow it, welcome it, welcome the purging happening. It's got the personal purging happening of our own trauma, the trauma from our lineage that's often very specific to us. And then even deeper beyond that, it's the trauma from the whole planet being shifted. It's immense amounts of stuff, you guys. This is a big, serious shift. It's a major purge. This hurts if you resist it. Don't resist it. Don't resist it. It's purifying us. It's giving us a chance to reset our experiment in pure, pure love. Love that is so bright that we haven't seen it before on this planet. And all of you are vessels for this. All of you are creators of this. All of your words, all of your imaginings, and all of your actions, they count. Every little bit counts. So I want to show a technique to help you to process this trauma faster. Notice your feelings. Bring them up on purpose. Preempt them. That's okay. You can preempt your stuff, right? Feelings. Purposefully pull up traumatic stuff in your mind, right? Or set yourself to purposefully get triggered. Go watch some mass media. That'll trigger you. Right? So that's okay. But here's the cool part. We're going to take advantage of all these triggers. These are great. This is juicy. Because those triggers are showing you piles of trash bags. So once you're triggered, then you're going to ask yourself, where is this showing up in my body? And it can be all kinds of weird places. Your fingertips, it could be your face, it could be your heart, your gut, your toe. I've had people say, my trauma is in my toe. Is that normal? Yes, totally normal. The emotional body are intimately tied. So maybe you're feeling it in that section of your body, right? Then I want you to make yourself small. Make your consciousness really little bitty, right? And go sit in that part of your body. So let's say it's in your heart space. Oh, I just hate that all these people are suffering. I hate the suffering. This feels so bad. I don't like suffering. Even though suffering is part of nature, suffering helps advance us. But to get to that concept, to even suffering is a beautiful part of our reality, first we got to clean up the trauma, right? So it's okay. Those feelings are valid. All right, I feel it in my heart. Okay, and then you put yourself there. Imagine sitting in your heart or in that part of your body that the trauma is showing up. What's the first thing you see? Don't let your brain mind say, oh, I'm making it up. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make anything up. Source already made it all up. You're just seeing what's available, okay? And you know, if you've listened to me before, the third eye is the imagination. You need to use your imagination to access the third eye. That's all that's needed. 99% of you have perfectly functioning third eyes. What cut you off was the idea that the imagination isn't real. It is real. It is absolutely real. To tell children that their imagination isn't real immediately cuts them off from all the dimensions they can see. Self inside your body. See what shows up there. Maybe it's this desperate feeling and maybe it looks really yucky, whatever, right? There's going to be some form that'll show up. At least feel it, right? So at least if you can feel into it, even if you can't name the feeling or frequency, that's okay. Just be aware of it, right? And then you welcome it. You notice it. It exists. So you don't deny it. You are welcome here. Frustration and hatred for suffering. You are welcome in my body. I welcome this tension. I welcome this darkness in my heart now. And then take a deep breath, because that all tells your vagus nerve and your nervous system that this change is okay. Breathing is really key on that one, right? Okay, I welcome this bad feeling right now. Okay. And then do it again and again until it dissolves. And then you're going to welcome the dissolving. You're going to welcome the light. I welcome this light that's taking place in my heart now. And then keep breathing. This can all be done quietly. It can be done very swiftly. And then you could do a heart command for the little particles that you've shifted that have been dissolved. Because while that density was there and we shifted it, we got the information we needed, welcomed it, we absorbed the info from that consciousness under pressure. Now the particles are in the field. Do a heart command. Dear heart, please lift. Any of these leftover feelings and particles of consciousness, anything that's ready to go right now, lift the whole body and field now. Take a deep breath. And then replace it because of physics, right? So replace it because of physics. And that will be something that will remain. Then the particles don't come back. So we say, dear heart, now fill my whole body and field with the pure love and light from source, with compassion and freedom now. Take a deep breath. Good. So we've had quite a lot of processing today. Thank you for joining me on that one. I'm going to answer some questions. If you have some questions that you'd like to ask about what's happening in your world, I'd love to support you. So I'm going into I'm going to look in 3 different places, so bear with me, my chat, my Q&A, and my YouTube that's live streaming. So I will be as many as I can in about 30 minutes or so. And then our last 15 minutes, we're going to build a pillar of light for the body technology and the bringing of important, healthy technology to the forefront, the disclosure of technology, and the healing of any technology that harms humankind. So that's our pillars concept today. Let's see. So this lovely woman, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name here. My question is that I have MS and have been bedridden the past 3 days. I'm very weak. I want to process the trauma, but I want to be mindful for what I'm dealing with. I'm not in pain, just weak and feel okay in bed, which is good. Yes. And do you recommend to do this now or when I'm in a better place with more energy? Is this a sign that it needs to be released? Is that why I'm bedridden? I'm really glad you asked that because a lot of us have had these days where we're like, nope, can't get out of bed. Listen, while processing is so key all the time, it's also really important to rest, and it can take a lot of strength to do this processing. So my suggestion would be to do some gentle heart commands and allow the body to shift that it can, and just replace it with light and do a lot of breathing. You don't necessarily need to go find triggers right now when you're feeling so weak. Resting is a verb. You are doing plenty by resting, right? So if you can care about your body right now and you need to rest, then do so because we need you. We need you when you're feeling stronger to continue to do the harder stuff, right? So right now, just do gentle heart commands. Think of all the different things that you could ask gently to remove and replace with light. Don't do much more than that at the moment. And if you must take a break from processing of all kinds, please do. It is not a requirement to do this 100% of the time. It's just not possible. Your brain and your heart and your gut minds need a break. And so does your body, so does your soul. This is hard work. We're trying to rebuild 500,000 years of mess. It's going to take every little bit that we can, but we also need to rest to be able to do this work. Thank you for asking that. I'm really proud for you that you're aware of your resting state. Let it be. Let it be so. Good. And so I'm going to try to scan up a bit here and see if there's any other questions that have come up. Caroline says, this is so powerful, so important. I have felt for years that the music since the late 80s around about then has become a channel for very low energies, very destructive to us and destructive to matter itself. It destroys brainwaves, and I believe it's designed to attack the crystal structure of the DNA. Do you think that's correct? Yeah, they've proven that. They've proven that modern music is particularly distorted. Look at some of the hertz, that the hertz frequencies that some of the modern music is playing. It's not the holy, very beautiful sacred frequencies like 432 and others. It's distorted ones that are not quite in right frequency. And they've proven that it actually has a chaotic effect on the brain, right? So for sure, honestly, I don't consume any radio whatsoever or any modern music really, very little of it. So there's some modern music that is a little less than mainstream. That is fine. I mean, I'm from Olympia, Washington. I like rock and roll. So, but there's a lot of artists out there right now support your local artists because they're making, a lot of them are making incredible music that's fully healing. One of them, he just put a bunch of new stuff out. He's got all this new stuff coming out. Maybe you might like to listen to it. It's healing music. Bio is his name. So you can find him. Bioluminescent music. He's all over SoundCloud, lots of free stuff. Other people like that, putting a lot of different work out there, lots of healing, holy music to listen to heal us, right? Again, consumption is consent. Do we consent to the chaos of the breakdown of the DNA? No. So we don't want to consume anything that does do that to us. So Megan asks, you keep referencing hundreds of thousands of years. Lucia commonly references 5,000 years as the last oppression. Can you speak to the historic patterns? Yeah, that's right. So Lucia speaks, my teacher, her name's Lucia Renee. She wrote the book Unplugging the Patriarchy, right? And so she's focusing in on a very specific time that we call the patriarchy. But we have had oppression, spiritual and physical oppression of many different kinds, not just patriarchies in precise terms, for 500,000 years. The human species has been here for 500,000 years. There have been incredible cities that have been shown to be incredibly ancient and old, under the sand, under the oceans, and even in plain sight, that are much archaeological world, the modern archaeological anthropological world would say is true, and it keeps changing, it keeps getting, it is actually 500,000 years old. Human culture, human Homo sapiens. And we had a short time at the beginning of our existence where we weren't oppressed by either beings from outer space, beings from the spiritual realms, dimensions, or some semblance of that. Then, of course, the oppression was taught to elite classes to create a nice layered pyramid effect, right? Of the rabble and the elite and everybody in between, right? That was taught to us and then played out in corruption over many hundreds of thousands of years. The finality of it was the past half a thousand years, so 5,000 years. The past 5,000 years, then we have what we call the patriarchy, which was specifically the elite being masculine, oppressing men and women. The patriarchy has hurt men just as much as women. And the elite, the reason why it's called the patriarchy is because the elite that were taught this oppressive matrix system and then implemented it over the past 5,000 years were mainly men. That's very key. That's why it's called patriarchy. And Lucia talks about how that was created, how we were in agreement to go through this way. In order to come out of it, we're going to, when we come out of it, have those three pieces I talked about at the beginning: consent, unconditional of universal compassion to bring to the table. We needed to learn this stuff, and it's taken us a good chunk of time to do so. That is okay. But now we're here to reclaim, reconnect, and reimagine what we're capable of. Yay! And so someone's mentioning the polarity of, Joe is talking about ease and grace versus pressure, right? So whenever there's a consciousness under pressure, we see that as difficulty. We see it as suffering or trauma, right? And then we say, I don't want that. I don't want it. I want ease and grace. I want love and light. But that's not the job. To heal the polarity, we always have to find the middle ground. The middle ground in this case is welcoming pressure and suffering as learning experiences, as advancement. We advance farther during conflict and challenge and suffering than we do when it's easy. We advance farther. That's exactly why oppression happened for 500,000 years. So that's very key. The way to get out of the polarity of hating and preference for ease and grace only is to welcome suffering. So anytime you're ready to shift a polarity, good and evil, right? Authoritarian, energy versus slavery, scarcity versus abundance. You got to find the middle ground. And everybody's going to have a little bit of a different middle. It's nuanced. We have unique vantage points, right? Play with that concept. See if it helps you. Ask yourself, what's the middle ground for this? I feel hatred right now, but I want to feel love. What's the middle ground? A lot of the time it's welcoming both fully, just allowing them to exist, right? So these 5 fields of limitations, someone's asking about them. I did actually write a book about it, and I'm publishing it soon. So look for that. I'm publishing also. It's going to be a big book. I'm going to publish a big book with as much information about how to train from the very beginnings, even if you have no idea how to do it. How to do remote viewing, quantum healing, and then how to run a business from your home on how to do quantum healer. All of you are capable of using quantum healing for yourselves and your family and your friends, and even running it up. So look for that. I'm going to be publishing a book in the next month or so, 2 months at the longest, I hope. It's going to take me a little bit. The fields of limitation and limitlessness is going to come out much sooner, and it'll have an audio with it. So that's going to be coming out as well. And I have this new publishing company, 12 Stars Publishing, to be able to publish all this and any work going on that other people want to publish. I want to do personal, ethical, loving, gentle publishing, right? That's equal and equanimity. Not this false structure of publishing that's cruel and not ethical. We need ethical, personal, loving publishing. So that's why that was created, not just for my own work. So look for that. I do want to train you about how to do this healing work from home. A lot of you healers, you can't go back to your clinics in the same way. I want to give you a chance to be able to continue your work, but do it remotely too. It's just as effective. That's the cool part. And you're completely capable of doing it. It's one. So look for those 2 things, the fields of limitation and the book around quantum and remote viewing and quantum healing. And so Caroline asks, wouldn't introducing non-organic tech compromise our light and light holding and generating capacities? Yeah, totally. That's why I'm very any additives, really. We don't need extra tech for these bodies. These bodies are perfect tech already. Good. All right, so Rebecca wants to know what's going on with Q and the mass arrests. Is that really happening? Some of you follow the Q world. I do a little bit. And yeah, I mean, there's so many indictments, a lot of stuff's coming unsealed. There have been arrests. I mean, some really seriously high profile arrests have happened over the past few years. It's complicated out there. There's a lot of different factions going on. Don't let it distort you. Remember that the number one thing you ought to be concerned about at the moment is you, your body, having access to your DNA, shifting your trauma. Number one thing. The rest of it It will fall into place the more work you do on you. If we can keep working on ourselves, we're going to see more revealed. Light is bringing, and the light always wins. Little secret. The light always wins. Why? Because even the dark is made of light. That's why. Teresa says, if I remember correctly, you said angels don't have emotional bodies. And yet in my experience, I feel emotion. Is that just my personal reaction, response? I thought it came from the angels. Right. So angels, they speak in light. They're beings of light, right? They're from the 7th dimension. And so they emanate huge amounts of information all the time in the form of light, right? And then it hits your body and you're going to feel it emotionally, physically, mentally. But when you emanate out back what you're sharing, angels don't have an emotional body that reacts this way. So while they're absorbing information from us too, it's not going to be the same. They don't have a physical 3D body. They're from a whole other dimension. Many other dimensional beings don't have an emotional body like we do. Many terrestrial ETs don't either. So it's something quite special, but that's why we ought to really revel in it, because that means we can feel stuff. It's a wonderful sensory experience to be able to feel light, to be able to feel information and frequency. So although the angels themselves don't have that same exact, they're still receiving from us all the time. And that's really cool. We can really take advantage of that. Olivia is mentioning the heart technique, the heart commands that I do in relation to the torus field. The double field that the electromagnetic body creates is the exact same torus field that the Earth creates, which is the exact same torus field that the solar system creates, which is the exact same as the galaxy and the universe. So when we do heart commands, we're implementing our sovereign will on the torus field of our body, and that influences all the other layers of the torus fields, including that is created by the collective humanity. And then we choose to retain certain qualities of light. So we replace things so that stuff doesn't come back. A lot of clearing fails because people don't replace the energy they've required to shift. And so what we're doing then is being in conscious control of our torus field. But what we're going to find in the future is that we have a conscious control over the collective torus field when we function as one mind, one heart, one body, as one species, that we have a connection deeply to the torus field of the Earth with a relationship that influences each other. Same with the solar system, same with the galaxy and the universe, and that we are not disconnected from the influence of every single one of those fields. So the heart is showing us as above, so below. And the torus field goes to the quantum level. The torus field exists at the quantum level too. Particles all function in torus. Cool, huh? That's how cool this technology body is, right? Carrie asks, do you have advice on how to balance whatever is about this virus with trying to live my life, such as needing to travel 200 miles to help move my 93-year-old dad? First, virus, if it does exist, I'm on the fence on it because I've seen some really interesting info. It's smart. It has intelligence. And if it exists, it has intelligence, right? And we all have tons of viruses in the body, Carrie. All of us do, constantly. They're all there. They're all informing the body. So if you're saying, I welcome all information, I don't resist any information available. And then this social distancing is smart. It's smart. It will help a lot of people die less from flu and other diseases. It'll help all of us. I think that these precautions should have been part of our culture long ago. We would have seen a lot less flu problems. Don't believe that it should shut down our whole entire society. I think people need to be sovereign and make choices together in community. And each community ought to be making their own choices about this. But just continuing to wash our hands, be very careful about touching our face, and being smart about social distancing is a good cultural concept. We can take good care of that, but also balance it, my friend, with getting dirty. Get your hands in the dirt. Your immune system will love you for it. It gets more information about how to strengthen itself when we get dirty, when we have our animals around. To use the earth, its dirt, its bacteria, its wonderful biome is there to support. This whole isolation is terrible for immune systems. Being stuck in our homes is not healthy. It will cause lowered immune systems. It's causing more stress. We should have done the opposite. And that's okay. So here we are. We're facing that. You still can do something about it. Do lots of breathing work, meditate, lower your stress levels the very best you can. Drink a lot of water. Get your hands on the dirt. Get barefooted on the planet every day if you can. Even if it's just a little patch, get your bare feet on the earth. Get your hands into dirt. Pot some plants on your windowsill. Whatever you can do to get nature again. It's going to boost your immune system. And then worrying about illness makes it worse. It makes the body go into stress. Remember, that's the fear of death program. That's what it looks like. We're all it's very important to go in and really focus in on that worry. Welcome it. Find it in your body. Welcome it there. Keep welcoming it so it doesn't run your life. And then do what you have to do. Travel and do what you've got to do for your family. And trust. Trust that source isn't going to take anybody that isn't supposed to be shifting out of their death is not the end. It never was. Death is not really death. It's just a change in scenario. That fear that we have of death and illness, that's what's keeping us sick. That's the balance that you need. Nature and ending your worry. So June asks a very good question. If we have given our DNA to 23andMe or Ancestry, can we still send energy and intentions through it to make a proclamation that it's only used for highest purposes? Let go of the fear and shame that it'll be used for negative purposes. And I feel there may be a way to still have consent over it. Here's what's interesting, my friends. DNA is constantly changing. Constantly, every day it's changing all the time. So if you ended up giving your DNA to a program, you could learn some things about yourself. And now there's all this signs that it might be used against us in some way, shape, or form, or for their semblance of control. First, go into your body and find that shame. Find that fear that it will be used in a bad way. Find it, welcome it, dissolve it. Then I want you to visualize the DNA that's being stored. Visualize it, love it. Let it exist as the most upgraded version of itself. You see, because it's part of your body, it's quantumly entangled with you and your consciousness. So even if it's on the other side of the planet in some vault underground, it doesn't matter. You have direct effects on that DNA. So you can turn it into a beautiful transmitter of light. Ask it to be so. Imagine it to be so. Say it out loud. And then pull back any consent for wrong use. Say, I do not consent to wrong use of my DNA. My DNA is a vessel of light. My DNA transmits pure light from source. Any ignorance will be filled with light. It's your DNA, so you can do that. Doesn't matter where it's at in the world, right? Cool. Practice with that. Play with that. First, process the shame. I understand why you feel that way. And it's trauma. Notice it, find it, feel it, welcome it, dissolve it. And then it's your secret weapon. Now you've got DNA in lab out there. Turn it into a vessel of light. Turn it into a transmitter of pure light. You can do that. DNA, it's all part of you, and it always was. Very good. And so Linda says, my son is a physics degree musician that smokes a lot of pot. I want him to get a full-time job in my home. How can I do this? First, any challenging feelings that we might have about our family members, we have attachments to their outcomes, especially if they're our kids, right? You need to unhook yourself from your children, your partners, and your friends and their outcomes. They are not yours, right? The only outcome that is yours is your own. We can wish all kinds of things, but the fact is that if we want outcomes to really unfold, if we want our children to feel free, to be able to go do those sorts of things and function in that way, then we must unhook ourselves from their outcome and say, whatever your outcome is, it's yours, it belongs to you. I honor that. I honor your sovereignty. When we say, I really wish you'd do this stuff, it actually does the opposite. Hooks them. We hook them with that desire for an outcome, with an expectation, right? And this goes for outcomes for elections, outcomes for the planet, outcomes for systems, right? We've got to unhook ourselves. And we must unhook ourselves and take control of the outcome that is ours. Then notice any frustration in your body. Notice any trauma in your body, any anger or disappointment or any kind of feelings like that, like, I wish you'd get a job. You know, find it in your body and process it, welcome it, dissolve it, so that your son and his outcomes don't trigger you, so your families and friends and all the systems don't trigger you anymore. You've got to find that stuff that's being triggered and unhook yourself. And then you're going to be in a field that is going to lift and elevate your family, your friends, all these people to a level where they have sovereign freedom to go out there and do these things for themselves. When we get frustrated that it's not happening, we're doing the opposite. We continue to hook them in to what we desire for them or what we desire for what's happening in the world. Those are expectations, those are attachments. Play with those concepts and see if you can get yourself into a state of pure openty without having all of your hooks in anybody's outcomes. And then watch them live in that feeling of full freedom. They will do a lot more than you expected. So Natalia's asking about discernment on the internet. And I think that's really important. Discernment about anything we're watching, right? Back to the original process I said, is it helping your mind and your psychic connections to oneness, all consciousness and nature? Is it helping your heart feel in oneness? Is it helping your body feel in oneness? Most of the stuff we're looking at right now isn't going to make us feel those things. So that tells you a lot about how the consumption of all this information, a lot of it being distorted, is going to affect our psychic and mental well-being, our emotional and heart well-being, and our physical well-being. But I use the three minds to discern how's my brain mind picking up on this? How's it helping my brain mind? How's my heart feeling? Brain, heart, gut, always being able to tell you, not just the mind, the whole body, those three minds, what's really going on, what's the truth. Okay, so look at my Q&A board here because we have a whole bunch of questions there. Dashka says, the energies around the transition 20 knocked me on my ass. Oh yeah, you are not alone. Me too. Illness, been fighting beginning just before winter solstice. Yes. Then the worst of which was falling down a flight of stairs in January. Ah! I was out of work for 6 weeks. It took me till January 9th to actually be back in my body again. What is this about? Oh, not alone, my friend. You are not alone. For me, it's been like the past 6 months. It's been probably the most intense 6 months of my life. It's what's going on is the shift of frequency from the earth, the presence of the Divine Mother and all that incredible love is forcing up all the greatest fears, all the physical problems. It's forcing up all of it. I think my immune system has crashed 3 or 4 times since January. And it's been like, no kidding, serious crashes. And like all kinds of weird stuff, skin things, you name it. You're not alone. Accidents, people, trouble. But it's all that forcing up, the purging of incredible, immense amounts of trauma and difficulty that's happening in level. Just hang on, keep going, keep trauma processing, keep hanging on, keep doing what I'm talking about, making room for more light. We're going to make it through this. We can do it. We're all very strong. Janine asks, welcoming the dark, the trauma perpetrators into my heart seems like the most extreme form of self-loathing, annihilating heart and mind, perhaps even my soul. How can this be a holy act? I don't agree with welcoming perpetrators of darkness into the heart, Janine. That is not what I teach. What I teach is noticing how perpetrators and darkness and evil trigger us and pull up the trauma for us in ourselves, and then we welcome that. I don't welcome in demonic beings or welcome in perpetrators into my heart space ever. Why? There's no need to do that. That doesn't make any logical sense, as you're saying. It shouldn't, right? What makes sense is that, hey, these things trigger me. They trigger me, they show me what my trauma is around darkness. And with that, then I can welcome the darkness in me, the trauma in me, the baggage in me. And when I do that, then I'm light within me. And that light gets to perpetrators. It gets through the evil. It cuts through the darkness. I welcome the existence. I welcome the perpetrators as they are in front of me. I don't welcome them into me. But I have universal compassion for them exist, because what's happened is their presence is helping me to advance myself by showing me what triggers and pain is in me. So I want to be very clear. Do not welcome darkness into you. That is not the task. There's plenty of darkness already there. It's called trauma. That's the task, to welcome the trauma, welcome the feelings that come up. And when then a perpetrator of darkness is in front of us and we are no longer triggered or traumatized by their presence, and we can stand in full compassion, that love breaks up all the power they have ever had. over anyone. It ends the power over paradigm. And then we are empowered in the light to stare down every layer of darkness and reveal it for what it is. It was light all the time. Sergi asks who the author of The Invisible Rainbow is. I can't remember. I just found that book and I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. And so some of these folks are, Kathleen is mentioning her son who's been in for some time now. And I can't do a personal reading on the general call, but we have a lot of family and friends or in some kind of trouble. And so, you know, we wait for their fate because their fate is no longer in our hands, right? Their fate is in the court hands. And that's so troubling. So Kathleen, you have so diligently been working on your trauma around this. Don't stop. The way you can help your son, even while he's in jail, is to continue to process your own trauma and your hurt feelings and your pain and your worry. To continue to let Source take his body and his soul and his field higher and be elevated into his true self. And remain with that image in your mind of him being the most elevated and holy person he can be. Feel it in your heart. Trust it in your body. Say it out loud. My son is elevated. My son is holy every day. And keep working on your trauma. Keep working on the worry. Don't let the worry keep leaking. It leaks out and it gets ate up by all the darkness that eats that kind of stuff, right? You're on the right track. Don't stop. Denise says, some people have been talking about supposed light workers stealing others, right? Yeah, especially in group meditations. Do you have any thoughts on this? Do you have any practices that would protect somebody from energy vampires? Protection is separation. Protection is separation. If you want full, true, actual power over anything like that, making your field as big as possible, as full of light as possible by continuing to do what? Working on your trauma, working on the baggage. When you're so light and so full, there is no lack of energy. Doesn't matter if there's vampires trying to lead off or anything. There's only infinite, incredible light and power moving through you. And then it pushes the field out so far, so big, that the receiving of that light or energy is never going to sap anything from you. There's only infinite amounts of power and light available running through someone who's moved all the baggage out of the way so that the full experience of all the dimensions and that light are constantly available. And then that field gets really big, like miles across. This is what I did to be able to finally end constant demonic attacks that have occurred to me over my entire lifetime since I was a very little child. I used to get beat up almost every day by demons. I'm very physical harm, to the point where I have almost died many times because I was nearly killed. Joke, this is serious stuff, right? And I thought this was going to be my life forever. And finally, something pushed me so far. I was like, no, I am going to stand in my power, my light, my DNA, my body technology. It is full of light. My field is so big. You can stand there and look at me all you want. I don't care. It's so big and so wide and so full. There is no room for you. And that ended the attacks. It was about 2.5 years ago. And I haven't been touched since. Nothing can take energy from me because there's so much energy and light. They can't take anything from me. It doesn't make me weaker. Infinite amount of light. Let them eat it. Let them have it. They can sit there at the edges of the field, take all they want, doesn't matter. I am in oneness with pure light and source, and so are you. There is no limitation to your power, energy, and light. And the feeling that we need to protect it, that's because we've been taught that there's only a small amount every day of it. True? That there's only a limited amount of love. No, there's not. Play with this concept. Stand in your power. And you can take part in anything. And nothing can hurt you. Nothing will touch you. So full and so bright. It's like trying to get close to a sun. Good luck. You're going to get burned up if you have bad hands, right? Good. And so let me see if I can get onto my YouTube here to answer a question if possible, if there's anything. And then let's build the pillar of light. I ended up talking longer than I thought. All right, so Tina mentioned something about being able to feel frequency on YouTube. She mentioned that one time she ended up, she could feel the moment all the cash registers were turned off, and then the system and computers were never shut off, and she could feel it. Ooh, yeah. It's amazing how much you can feel when you turn off your Wi-Fi and you're like, whoa, I didn't even know there was craziness going on. Very good. So, Karen, able to say that word. If I say that word, Karen, they might censor me, so I can't say it. I'm sorry. But I have been talking about that in particular. And anyone who reads the YouTube comments, and I'm psychically telling you what I'm not going to say. And it has this new tech coming out, but they've been shutting people off, like literally, they'll shut the YouTube streams off if I say anything like that, okay? Yes, and that's right. William S. Tompkins did pass away. He was very old, and I love him. So let's see. Not seeing any very clear questions here. I think if anybody has personal stuff, I'd love to help you. We have lots of group calls going on, and I love group calls. I just did one last night that was very powerful. And group calls, you feel like every single answer comes through on your behalf. And so we were on there for about 2.5, 3 hours. And no, it was 3 hours. And lots of beautiful readings, helping people get through different things, and each person then benefiting from those readings. I have a bunch of group calls open in May right now. Come join me. Let's get together. I'll help you do any personal readings if you need that, okay? And now you can buy just one group call at a time at this point on my site. So that's at this.com under offerings. Come work with me if you need some support. Also, we have our Slack community online. $18 a month, but I can do half that if you need it, or a scholarship if you need it. I don't turn anybody away because of money, and we're on Slack, which is great because it's different than Facebook. It has a totally different vibe. We have a great community there, lots of loving, wonderful people. And I'm so sorry I couldn't answer every question. Thank you so much for your beautiful, brave, and important questions. I know they will help everybody. Let's build a pillar of light now together before we go. And so let's see, where do we want to build this thing? Let's pick something really juicy. I think we should pick someplace that has to do with technology, right? So I'm asking, so where should we build our pillar of light? And I'm getting drawn to let's do it in Japan. I have not built a pillar of light in Japan since I helped build a pillar for Taji, where they murder dolphins. And Japan is one of the seats of power around technology. A lot of tech comes out of Japan, and we don't really talk about that much. We talk about China a lot more lately. So just build this beautiful pillar of lights in the heart of which city? Let's do it right smack in the middle of Japan. I don't know exactly what city that is, but if you can imagine the long island of Japan, let's do it right in, shall we? Ooh, let's do it at Fukushima. Okay, we're going to build our pillar of light at Fukushima. So that's actually on the coast up north a little bit. And so this pillar will also be to help support the healing of any nuclear technology that's hurt our planet, the healing of any technology that's hurting us currently or that will be coming online and may hurt us, the disclosure of all healing and useful technology that will help our mind and our psyches, our hearts and our heart fields and our whole bodies be in oneness, right? And then the outcome of humanity being able to have healthy technology that will advance us instead of hindering us or controlling us, right? That's the hope. That's the intentions. And so if you're new at this, it's really easy. Just want you to imagine Fukushima, easy enough. We've seen lots of pictures of that place, right? And now let's come together in this big circle around Fukushima together, shall we? And then there too, right? Because the ocean, they're dumping all kinds of stuff into the ocean right there. Good. All right, so here we are. Focus into the center of our big circle here. And now from the gut, we're going to ask with the intent of healing technology and the healing of all tech that has caused any harm. The forgiveness of the Mother Earth for harmed her in any way. The forgiveness for ourselves and the forgiveness for anyone who brought that technology forth with any kind of intention. So great, grand, and very important physical healing of the earth and of course all of its species and humankind. That's what we have as our foundation. So I want you to continue to feel that in your gut. Feel it in your gut right now. And with a deep breath, let's project it to the center as the foundation of our pillar right now. Wow. So every pillar is different, and I like to tell you what I see happen when this stuff goes on. And whew, that made me dizzy. I saw this big burst of bright green energy. Wow. And it's just this gorgeous, living, bright. It looks like a stationary firecracker of bright, vivid green light. Awesome. It's so cool. Living and sparkly. And it has these different tendrils like a big fern. Very cool. Awesome. I hope you can see it too. Oh, wait. All right. Well, there's the foundation of our pillar, you all. All right. Now we come into the heart. Now we're pulling up from the heart. Desire for technology to support and nourish the electromagnetic fields and the torus fields of the quantum, of the molecular, of the atomic and cellular, of the physical human form, of the physical forms of all nature, of our Earth, our solar system, our galaxy, and our universe. To be in oneness, we ask that all technology can from here out be in oneness with these fields. And any healing that can be done from the heart space, we ask that as our intent for this part of the pillar. So with a deep breath, project that from your heart out into the center. Wow. I have to say this pillar is so bright, it's almost hard for me to see. It's so bright, you guys. It's this beautiful pink and gold living light, same kind of shape, that big burst of firecracker-like energy. Wow, okay. Now let's come up into the third eye and the crown. So our brain, our third eye, our crown, our senses, our face, our throat. We ask for the oneness of mind, heart, and body to be the of technology. We ask that in any healing that can be done of the mind, heart, and body of all humanity, all of the earth and the planet, and all of the torus field of this universe. And with that intent, now with a deep breath, project that from your third eye to the top of now. Wow, good Lord. Just pure white, bright, living, vivid light. And it just shot up as far as I can see out into the solar system, you guys. Wow. Amazing. Oh gosh, my eyes are watering and I don't even have them open. That's how bright it is. It's so bright. I hope you can see it and feel it too. Oh man, that's so cool. This is probably the coolest one we've built yet, honestly, and the energy of the earth is right on board with this. Good. Good. Okay, so last step. And now you know how to do this. So you have an intention for each of your minds, your gut, your heart, your brain. You project it together as a group into a place, usually on the planet, and you build it from the ground up, right? And then you allow it to exist. And so any other final intentions that you might have, feel free to put them into the pillar of light that transmits your good intentions and your light out from that pillar. It's a big transmitter, better than any tower, better than any cell phone tower, right? Better than any network. We're using the real network, the network of light. These bodies are connected, have been. That's what I mean by one mind, psychically being connected, one heart, electromagnetically being connected, one cellularly through the DNA being connected to the earth and each other. That's what I mean. And that's our intent for this pillar. Good. And so now the last step is to disconnect. So with a breath, add any last intentions. Good. And now let's gently, I disconnect my crown, my third eye, all my senses, my throat, my heart space, my gut, and my whole body now. And we can step back and allow our beautiful creation to continue its work. And these beautiful pillars, they stay in the fourth dimension. We imagined it in the fourth dimension. That's where imagination functions. It's the third eye. It's your access all the time to that fourth dimension. Now it stays, it will do its job until it's not needed anymore. So it could be there another 1,000 years if it has to be. And nothing can budge it. We've all decided to create this together as souls. It's very powerful work. Make more of them. Do one for different intentions. Do one for your family's intentions. Get your family together. Prayer perhaps together, and you can create a pillar of light that will help your family. Anything you need, you can be working with this concept to transmit what is needed all the time so you don't have to constantly put so much effort into worrying about things. These are living, and they work wonders on the body. They work wonders for families and communities and towns and anything you need. It's just a wonderful tool. It's a spiritual tool we can use. Very, very good. I'm so in wonder and awe by you. I'm in wonder and awe of your nature, of your beauty. Thank you for your power, your wonderful energy, all of your intentions, your work, your effort. It is so vital. It's so beautiful. It's so important. Every feeling you have is beautiful. It's important. Every trigger you have is showing you all the stuff that's ready to go. It's time for us to be in our sovereign freedom and act as if we have the world we want now. And that is the truth. Your body technology is wonderfully perfect, and it will give you that opportunity to continue to advance yourself in this experiment in consciousness on this fabulous planet, in this wonderful galaxy, in this universe of love, which you belong entirely. Thank you for all of your beautiful love and your beautiful intent and your energy and your heart. I just love each of you. I'm here for you. I've got your back. Let's keep working together. And I will see you next month at the very last. That's when I've been doing these, and it seems to be working well. And so I really look forward to connecting with you. And if you enjoyed this, it will be on YouTube. You can look me up if you're on Zoom. You can look it up at Elizabeth Wood, Seer and Scientist. My channel will pop. Subscribe if you like, and share these videos if you want. This will be saved at the playlist that is the Circle Community Calls. And so every month, all of those are saved, and you can share them if you feel that they're useful and helpful. And so here we go. Keep going. I'll meet you next month. And good luck. Good luck this month with everything that is going on in our lives. It all counts, my friends, and I'm so proud for you. I'm proud of humankind. I love humanity more than anything, and I'm so proud for us. We've got this. We've got this. All right, you all take very good care. I love you. I love you so much. Namaste. Bless you. Bless all of you.